Alrighty guys, we're back for some Mono Blue Tempo, and this is a Murders at Karlov Manor Standard Brew, and I'm Blue Cat. Let's briefly go over the deck, then hop right into some ranked, but first things first, April Fools! Let's go! Blue Cat returns! Guys, I'm actually Red Cat, and this is well out of my comfort zone, so what kind of counter spells do we have in here? Reasonable Doubt is one that I've been wanting to try out actually. It's a 2-mana instant speed. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 2. Okay, so like the whole like make disappear style effect. Then also suspect up to 1 target creature. When you suspect a creature, it has menace and it can't block. I think it would be interesting sometimes if the opponent gets like a chump blocker in the air to suspect like your Haughty Djinn, for example, and give it menace in the air as well. Just like more evasion on an already evasive creature. It's a similar concept with Terror, except Terror doesn't have evasion, and so putting Menace on a Tolarian Terror could be really, really cool, huh? Of course, all 4 Terrors and all 4 Haughty Djinns made the cut because when I play blue, I like to make sure I have a ton of creatures that can actually wrap up the game, but also I think Mono Blue Tempo just usually runs all 4 of each of these anyway, so that's pretty neat, huh? I have some more new cards packed in, like Case of the Ransacked Lab. Been wanting to try this one out as well. I'm not really sure if Mono Blue Tempo is where we want this, but we'll see. So it's a case, and at the top here it says instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Okay. Now to solve this case, you've cast 4 or more instant and sorcery spells this turn, so that could be pretty tricky in here, but we'll see, we'll see. It might be really easy, especially if this is already reducing the cost of cards in our hand, and maybe we have a Haughty Djinn or 2 on the board. Like, how often does Mono Blue actually get a couple Haughty Djinns down? Pretty often, right? So maybe we are just making everything cast way less, and maybe like Thirst for Discovery a couple times for just 1 mana. That could be a pretty quick way to go ahead and solve this case. So when it's solved, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you draw a card. That is disgusting, dude. So super interested to see if that's going to do a thing. Yeah, for our card draw, we do have 3 Thirst for Discoveries and another new card here, Intrude on the Mind. 5 mana, instant speed, reveal the top 5 cards of your library and separate them into 2 piles. An opponent chooses one of those piles, put that pile into your hand, and the other into your graveyard. You create a 0/0 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying, then put +1/+1 counters on it for each card put into your graveyard this way. So it's potentially a great way to stock up your graveyard with a whole bunch of instant and sorceries to buff the Djinn or make the Terror cheaper, but also just more tempo for extra Thopters on the board too. So we're opting for Intrude the Mind instead of Flow of Knowledge. So I do think Intrude the Mind, for my playstyle in particular, I think I'm going to like it much more than Flow of Knowledge, but we'll see, we'll see. And since we're not rocking that Flow of Knowledge, we do have some Mishra's Foundry over here because we don't have to worry too much about having like islands. Of course, Soaring City made the cut too. More counter spells between the Make Disappear as well as Essence Scatter, also trying out some Out of Air as well. So it costs 2 less to cast for each if it targets a creature spell, and then you just target counters. Wow. Send help, guys. You counter target spell. There we go. That was weird, huh? I'm trying out Out of Air because I do think even if we're not targeting a creature with this, that we'll be able to get it down to 2 mana quite effectively in a build like this that's running the cases and the Haughty Djinns. Opting for a Slip Out the Back as emergency protection for Haughty Djinn, 4 Fading Hope, 4 Consider, all that's pretty basic in Mono Blue, also some Moment of Truth, and a single Negate too. Okay, guys, hopefully I went over this briefly enough, huh? This one actually took a while. Either way, let's go ahead, take it into some ranked, and see how we do. All right, we'll see if we can get right into that first game. In the meantime, how you guys feeling about Blue Cat? Did we change the channel? Just make it permanently Blue Cat? Okay. We go first. Ooh. This is not a good hand, right? Right? Eh, whatever. I'll keep it. Let's try it. It seems really, really slow, huh? We'll get that island down. We'll start putting fear into the opponent's mind. Second island. Extra fear. Okay, third island. Triple the fear. Now we'll go Foundry this time and keep the Thirst for Discovery open. Yeah, no protection for Haughty Djinn. Even though that's what we want to do on 4 and then have protection open, right? Like with a counterspell, but could be okay. Watley, all right. Very nice opponent. Go ahead and grab your land and we'll start with that Thirst for Discovery. And while we could start stocking the grave, we're probably going to get rid of one of these islands, as I'm not convinced that we're going to need that. Terror's pretty good. Yeah, I don't think we need all these extra islands. What? Did I not submit the island? Oh no, guys. Did I click through it? Can I go back? I thought I submitted the island. Oh, well, this is embarrassing. Oh dear. Oh dear. I guess we'll put an Intrude the Mind in the grave too, and I'm still going to get rid of the island very awkwardly here because I wanted to keep the Fading Hope as an emergency. We didn't want to ditch the Thirst for Discovery. And on that note, I guess we go Haughty Djinn and hope that we don't have to target it with our own Fading Hope. Yeah, that was silly. I think the Intrude on the Mind could have been excellent. I just clicked through the button or something. I definitely have to be more careful with this second Thirst for Discovery. Make sure I do it properly. Dinosaur. Yeah, Cavern of Souls. That'll do a thing for the opponent, huh? Fading Hope not looking terrific against all these ETB abilities. This is probably a turn of Consider. I'm sad that we got rid of Intrude on the Mind, guys. I was looking forward to playing that. Hopefully we see it again today in one of the matches, because it is only a 2 of. Wow. Last man is going to be a Chomp. We should totally protect our Haughty Djinn, dude. Especially since we don't have a Moment of Truth. I don't know what I'm looking for right now, because like counter spells aren't going to be great against this Cavern of Souls anyways. So I guess we just like keep Moment of Truth around. We'll have 2 mana this time round. Want to keep double blue just in case, because we might go Consider, find a Fading Hope. Yeah, without extra protection for the Haughty Djinn, it... Oh, we also have Moment of Truth now too, that's right. Yeah, without extra protection for the Haughty Djinn, it seems a little sketchy, but maybe Moment of Truth could help us find something. Also, some Dino builds barely run any removal, so they might only have like 2 Triumphant Chomps in the build, and then a couple other things packed in, like, Bone Horde Dracosaur. Very nice opponent. 1 green open, and now's the time to go Moment of Truth, even though we can't counter the Bone Horde anyways, because they use the Cavern. But it's a good example, like, see, we could have found the Make Disappear, played the Make Disappear, if we could counter it. So on this, what we want to do is probably tempo play. Into the grave, Make Disappear, and back into the library you go, Haughty Djinn. Yeah, tempo play the Dracosaur. Make sure we get a swing in the air with the Haughty Djinn next turn. Second Haughty Djinn could have been cool too, but they have no great swings here. Bone Horde to hand. Nice. Moment of Truth, okay. And the Terror on the ground is going to be pretty good too. Foundry is not going to be able to swing in successfully here. So as big of a swing as possible, we'll start with Moment of Truth, see what we see. One of these into your hand. See, like, I don't even know. I guess Island then. Because Make Disappear isn't going to do anything, so we might as well stock the grave, right? Like, it's going to have very limited number of targets in the deck now that that Cavern of Souls is letting them cast their big stuff. Then we could go Thirst, and then we have the Island to discard if we want. Doing all this on our turn seems a little sketchy. But I want to get a huge swing and then threaten lethal next turn. Discard a basic land. You select it and then submit. So I must have hit decline on accident there. Essence Scatter, like I said, not going to do much, so we'll use that as a discard at some point. We still have Consider, so we might as well continue to buff Reasonable Doubt. We might as well continue to buff this Djinn. Another Terror, too. Wow. Okay. Swing for 11. We don't have protection for the Haughty Djinn, so we're just gonna play it all out, dude. I hope they don't have a board wipe. That would be awkward. Just like burn down the house and we just cry ourselves to sleep at that point. So they have the blocker in the air, so like getting everything down now is totally fine. And I think it was worthwhile doing all that on our turn, right? I think so. If we weren't playing against Cavern of Souls, I think we probably would have went for a slower pace, and a lot of those counters probably would have went into our hand. So they have two blockers. They chump on the ground. Stomper can't block. They block in the air. That's first strike too. They take 7 for the turn if we power up Foundry. That first strike's brutal on the Dracosaur. A little bit of tempo off the top could be really good. Actually, it's too bad we don't have Reasonable Doubt, right? Suspect a creature, make it so Bonehorde Dracosaur can't block. Maybe that's what we do. Maybe we hold for the turn and try to counter and get the suspect. So, 1 second, opponent. I apologize, buddy. So, let's see, that spell can't be countered. So what happens when a spell can't be countered? Would this fizzle out? Or do we still get that bottom ability? I guess this is a great chance to see what happens. We could full swing. Losing the Haughty Djinn's pretty bad. They would take 7 and then chumping with the Huatli. At this point, they're getting extra chump blockers and extra ramp too. So we're technically in some serious danger. But then we would still be in danger next turn, even after the full swing, because they'd survive down to 2. Yeah. They'd survive down to 2, and Dracosaur would still be around. The Huatli would be off the board, but then we wouldn't have our Haughty Djinn anymore. So, like, the best case scenario is we suspect either our Haughty Djinn or their Dracosaur to get their blocker out of the air, and then we just swing in the air. Like, that's the goal here. Oh, Luca. Dude. Very nice. So Essence Scatter doesn't hit it. We'll make them pay the extra 2. They have 3 to pay. But now they have add 2. Cast creature spells. Hopefully they don't go in the air. Okay. So target creature. I will suspect the... Which one do we want? Either one works, right? Right? I guess Dracosaur taking it out as a blocker is a little better than targeting our own Haughty Djinn, which can technically still block right now. Because if we go Haughty Djinn, it'll have Menace, so it'll get by the one Dracosaur regardless. So it's a similar concept. We just had to decide, like, which one we wanted to put it on, or which one would be more beneficial to put it on. So Reasonable Doubt really showing some tempo here, huh? Really sick stuff. At this point too, I guess like a creature that isn't a dino, we could hit with the Essence Scatter. So if it's like another Huatli, or actually if they go plus on the Luca, they go, wait a minute. -4 on the Luca. Oh crap, we're still gonna lose it out of the air. Yeah. Deals X damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures or planeswalkers, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. Oh. Well, we tried, huh? Actually, Luca's really sick. That's a planeswalker I overlook often. So now they just have a menacing Bone Horde. Since it can't block, they decide, yeah, we might as well swing. Cool opponent. Okay. Passes back. Foundry number 2. They have blockers for days. Not a lot of great double blocks, though, and they don't know what's in hand yet. Locking into a Foundry. We're just going to have to, I'd say we're going to have to full swing at the opponent's face now. And I think holding back for the turn was pretty good. The opponent had some pretty good stuff there, though, huh? So full swing to the opponent's face. Target the Mishra's Foundry with the first one. You have to tap that, right? Okay. I was double checking, make sure I can't do that again. Trade into Foundry. And trumps for days. Take 5. Oh, they are gonna like fully trump here. Okay. We still have 1 Foundry remaining. So far, so good. I think this is heavily leaning towards the opponent now. It's gonna be a similar concept too. I mean, this was anyone's game though, huh? I think our deck totally did the thing. Maybe if I would have kept some of those other counter spells, for when it came time for Luca, we could have played like the Make Disappear, for example. We could have Suspected, and then we could have also... Okay, so we can't counter that with the Essence Scatter. Yeah, we could have Suspected and then also played a Make Disappear, and they didn't have 2 after the fact, right? I think they had 3 total that turn. So maybe instead of sending all those extra Make Disappears, I should have put one in hand for an emergency like this. Trumpeting Connoisseur. Yep, unfortunately, Cavern of Souls is perfect against mono blue like this. So we'll see what's on top and go from there. They can totally pay the 2 here. And unfortunately, Essence Scatter not hitting that either. Very nice opponent. Very nice few turns. Dracosaur really showing off its power. What's on top? Soaring City. Oh, man. See, that's the kind of tempo play that could have gotten us there a few turns earlier before the Luca actually hit the board, huh? At this point, is this actually going to do anything? I mean, we keep it open. I really doubt they're going to play any other creatures that aren't dinos, unless it's like another Huatli or something. This is definitely a full swing if I've ever seen one, huh? But for some extra mana on the Luca. And we do have extra blockers on the ground if we want to go Mishra. But I think we're just going to let the opponent wrap this up, huh? Although, like, we have the block here. Then that's 10 getting through there, 8 getting through there. But I guess we'd want to power up the Foundry, but that's okay. Like I said, this is this is the same thing as conceding at this point. We'll just let it go through. 14-minute game. What on earth? Well, as Blue Cat, since I'm Blue Cat today, anything less than 28 minutes isn't an actual game of Magic, so like that doesn't even count. That's that's a fake game right there. All right, yeah, no, I think our deck totally did a thing. That Cavern of Souls was just super devastating, huh? So hopefully we don't run into too many decks that are rocking the Cavern of Souls, and maybe now try to think through that a little bit better, right? Like try to think through, like maybe I should still put a Make Disappear in hand in case of emergency, and that could have gone a really long way instead of just sending it to the grave like I was. When it goes first, this could be pretty dangerous, but if it's like mono red or something, like Haughty Djinn still ends up blocking relatively well. Like the Make Disappear and everything, and actually Essence Scatter, Out of Air, all that'll come in handy, I'm sure. Third Haughty Djinn, because why not? So if it's a creature we want to counter, we want to start with Essence Scatter, right? Since Out of Air can still be a late game counter anything. That's a great hit for Make Disappear. taking ramp out of the equation, especially if this is Rakdos mid-range. Haughty Djinn dies to everything, but we have 3 of them, so like I'm just gonna play it. Like keeping the Essence Scatter could have been a thing, but it's fine. Like we could hit what, a Sheoldred with it. Hi Sheoldred. How you doing? Hey, don't mess up my face too much, Sheoldred, please. Please. Yeah, we'll swing. Now we're just gonna have to try to keep up pace with this Sheoldred as it goes on, and we still have a good hit here now with Essence Scatter. A couple of these out of airs. This is a lot of counter spells for creatures, or decks that might not even be running a lot of creatures. Well, except for the dinos, but yeah, we couldn't counter a lot of those anyways. They pass it back. Ooh, Thirst for Discovery. Okay. So the Sheoldred punish is pretty rough. We would go down to what? We can't successfully play this until Sheoldred's off the board, right? Just like Haughty Djinn again would be fine. I'd love to get a big swing in the air. We can't take 6 this turn from Sheoldred. We can't do that, right? Right? What the heck? We're in trouble, dude. They got 5 open mana, and they're not skipping their turn. This is something. So, decline. Right? Because we want to buff these Haughty Djinns. Goodbye, Essence Scatter. Let's do this, man. Take 6 damage. No worries. Not even scared. Okay. Out of Air is available to counter anything. Haughty Djinn number 3 is not something we want to do. Drawing down to 4 is not something we want to do, right? Oh no, guys. Send help. I really needed to counter that Sheoldred. I'll tell you what, though. We could find a Fading Hope and go for Sheoldred's Edict. I'm gonna say no on the Sheoldred's Edict and hope that they don't have a second piece of spot removal. But either way, countering one of the pieces is pretty good. Terror, what's up, buddy? You're gonna block on the ground so well here. Oh man, it's got that ward as well. If we swing with 1, we could die to Sheoldred next turn. Or if we swing with both, we could die to Sheoldred next turn if they have 1 piece of spot removal. By swinging with 1, we get the tempo rolling. We still have a good chance to threaten lethal next turn. But now, like, if they go spot removal onto Djinn, we still have Terror to block the Sheoldred, so we still survive. Yeah, so we'll still have... Oh, that hits both of our Haughty Djinns, though. Chandra, Hope's Beacon. Man, we're seeing a lot of underplayed Planeswalkers today, man. That's great. That's really, really good. It hits face. It hits face, too. I wasn't even thinking. I was like, bro, like these, Sure, game. I had fun. Wait, I want to look at the board. No. Dude, I was looking at those 2 Haughty Djinns like, wow, they found perfect removal for both of them. Very nice about it. And no, yeah, Hope's Beacon just hits face as well. It's a really good Planeswalker, huh? We played Chandra, Hope's Beacon, and I believe it was last week's Is It build. And I don't think we actually got it onto the board, but there's a good reason we were playing with it, dude. Feels underplayed. Maybe it is played in those Rakdos builds. So funny enough, a lot of that just came down to me in that last game, right? Like the draws against Sheoldred, like we could have found the Fading Hope, but we didn't. So it was a lot of extra damage. We go first here. I'm going to give this a shot, especially since we can find more mana off the moment or get the Terror low enough as well. You guys can definitely tell that I don't play with a lot of counter spells. It's always really awkward for me to know, like, because I just want to play creatures, man, you know? And so, like, it's always really awkward. When do I keep open these counter spells? And so last game, keeping open a counter spell for that Shieldred would have been so much better, dude, than what we ended up doing. Actually, we'd still be in that, probably. Because maybe we could have dropped, like, a full-priced Out of Air on the Chandra when it came time. Or just, like, had extra counters for any of their big things. Actually, maybe we were favored in that, huh? We very well might have been. Okay, one into hand. Probably... I should grab the land. I should. One into the grave. I guess slip out the back. And then put Fading Hope back in the library. Because we always want more Fading Hopes, and we just never see enough of them. That's what it always feels like, so... Okay, third comes down, and we keep everything open. Maybe we can get a good counter on, like, a wedding announcement. That should probably be a counter, because it looks important. I don't even think I have to read it. We have a chance for a counter, so we're gonna do it. Right before they drop, like, a Cavern of Souls or something. Oh, I forgot to go over this. I'm just gonna send it to the grave. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna send it. Forgot to go over it at the beginning, but the beginning is supposed to just briefly go over it anyways, so... Very nice. We saw that mana, so now we can successfully get Terror down. Or we could really go for it. Moment of Truth, and then drop both Terrors, right? But I don't want to run right into a board wipe either, so we're just going to get one Terror down. And keep the counter spells and everything open. Actually play it like tempo is supposed to be played. Okay, so they had Tessa. 2/3 death time. They have another one. I suppose I will counter it. It seems very important for the opponent to get that onto the board. Ooh. Case of the Ransacked Lab. Alright, so we'll start with the swing. And I'm still going to play around a board wipe here and not play the second Terror. This is pretty good because we'll have Moment of Truth open as well then. Like, we get that on the board. So Fading Hope for tempo, Moment of Truth for when it comes time. That's probably what we'll end up doing. Can be ossification. They're going to pay the ward cost. Okay. We will let them pay the ward cost, because once we play Moment of Truth... Well, I mean, we could bounce it, I suppose. Right? Okay. I'll bounce it back to my hand. No worries there. I mean, we're playing tempo anyways, so that makes sense to me that we would do that. So, one Terror. Keep it all open, right? Yeah. Yeah, I believe so. So to solve this, it's 4 or more instant and sorceries on the same turn. It's going to be a little tricky, but this is a pretty good hand to try to solve the case at least. Seal from Existence. Okay. Moment of Truth. What we start with. They have 2 open, so they are playing around this Make Disappear here. So Consider could be good. Extra mana wouldn't be terrible. If we pop the island into hand, and then we just go like, I guess, Consider to the grave, Make Disappear back. Then we do have Thirst for Discovery and to discard the island when it comes time. Yeah, they're going to be sealing up this Terror. Oh, another Terror. Okay, Haughty Djinn as well. Discard the basic, submit 1. Make sure I don't accidentally hit decline again. I'm going to be paying 2 for Terror. Yeah, Terror is rough when you're dealing with just generic spot removal like they are right now. Oh, Make Disappear still would have worked because they would have paid the 2 and then they would have needed the ward on the 2. Oh. Yeah, I don't know why I'm just now... I don't know why I'm just now seeing that, honestly. I mean, that's fine. We're still okay here. I'm going to drop both Terrors and keep the Fading Hope. We ended up drawing really well and getting a lot of good stuff into our hand that we wanted to see, so Yeah, so we could have grabbed Make Disappear. We wouldn't have grabbed the island, so we wouldn't have had the island to discard for the Thirst for Discovery. But no, I mean, we weren't playing the Thirst anyways. We would have played Make Disappear, kept the Terror on the board because of the ward. Feast of the Victorious Dead. Okay. Still have 3 open. Looks like we might get a really good swing here next turn. Ossification is not going to work, unfortunately, opponent. The ward cost. Creature or planeswalker. That's actually pretty rough, man. That's rough. Ward is just so brutal all the time, huh? At this point, guys, I'm going to power up Foundry. And threaten them that way and just keep Fading Hope open as tempo. So if they get like a chump blocker down with lifelink, for example, at the end we'll just bounce it back. Roaming Throne. Well, we don't have the ward. GG opponent. GG, buddy. They would have needed a second chump blocker or some other form of removal as well. Just like the... we actually got to see the tempo side of the build very nicely there. Even if I felt like I wasn't playing it out well, it still felt very good overall. Nice. Ooh, man, 31 minutes in. I do believe that the deck is capable of more victories, so we're going to end on a high note. Go one more. See how we do. Hope everyone enjoyed this this April Fool's Day thing. We did Blue Cat last year, different artwork. We got new artwork for Blue Cat this year, of course, to match the new Red Cat artwork. Okay, let's keep this. So yeah, this Flotsam and Jetsam, I have no idea what that means, but but this is a one-of in the build that we'll go over more here at the end of the video. Okay, go ahead and surveil. Ooh, we got some mini reanimator for sure, dude. All right, we got Moment of Truth available, and we have Flotsam available as well if we want to mill and investigate for the turn, which we might do that, but it's probably Moment of Truth. Try to find some counter spells because we want to make sure we counter before they reanimate. Yeah, we want to counter their reanimation cards for sure. Okay, so Make Disappear will do. Fading Hope to Grave, Fading Hope to deck. Fading Hope could have been pretty good too, actually. But we have one in hand as well, so. Okay. So that's it. We pass it back. Because who likes playing cards on their turn, guys? I'll tell you what. Consider. Yeah, we just want to keep Make Disappear open. And we'll also have Fading Hope too. Yeah, they're thinking, when do we actually want to play this? Okay, so I will go ahead and use the Flotsam ability to mill and investigate. Thirst considers, and there's our clue. Cool. So Haughty Djinn will be open with our Make Disappear and our Fading Hope. Totally worthwhile, right? Oh, unless they're rocking their own counter spells. But I'm pretty sure this is Mini Reanimator, and I don't think they run counter spells. Well, this deck could be, though, right? They sure are. Make Disappear #1, at least. Okay. We got to be prepared for just a full-on tempo matchup here. Haughty Djinn comes down. And Fading Hope the Haughty Djinn. See what's on top. Right, because we want to actually counter that with our own Make Disappear when it comes time. Is that keepable? I guess we keep that on top. I don't know, because it's a card that'll go to the grave to buff our other things, and then we surveil, potentially buff our other things, or just like help us find more in general, right? We could draw on the clue and still have Consider and Make Disappear open for their... Actually, we just keep everything open then, right? Because we don't need to draw on our turn. Unless we planned on playing what we drew, which we just don't know. Yeah, now that we have open blue, the opponent has a lot to consider here. It's too bad that... Okay, so we start with consider, right? And get that surveil going now. We don't need the island. See what we draw. Terror. Okay, and then we go into clue. Right? Okay, fading hope. All right. Worth the counter, but I do think that there's a good chance they just bring the Haughty Djinn back this turn anyways, but it'll come back tapped. I can't remember the card name right now, but... Oh, sleight of hand. Well, that's not what I was thinking. The opponent isn't finding their reanimation cards, maybe? Yeah, we definitely need to get this ball rolling. I know that much. Like, the second they bring back that the Monastery Mentor, I almost called it Swiss Spear, funny enough. So if I want the tempo ball rolling, now that we don't have a counter in hand, now we start with consider, because we could find like another terror. Ace of the Ransacked Lab. I actually don't want that. I just need stuff that deals damage. Yeah, another terror. That's what I'm talking about, dude. Okay, terror. Terror. And keep fading hope? No. Swing. We're going for it, bro. All right, let's see what they end up doing here. Yeah, because nothing's going to get haste, I'm assuming. I don't necessarily want to go fading hope onto one of my own terrors this time either, if they had removal. So I think it's going to be reanimation, and then we bounce what they reanimate. Oh, Djinn? And Prankster. They're not reanimating yet, guys. Oh, there they go. Helping Hand. They still have a mana open, too. Very nice. Very nice. That first counterspell was super surprising, huh? Running into that Make Disappear is actually really bad for us. If I would have played it out a little bit more cautiously, a little bit slower. That's one of the things about Standard right now, man. Like, a lot of the decks are so powerful, but we're still seeing a huge variety. So sometimes you see something like this, and it catches you off guard. Where you know about its existence, but you're not 100% certain what they keep backed in. Okay, guys, mana off the top. I think we're in a ton of trouble here. Even though, I mean, the mana is really bad. It's a really bad draw. I don't think they block. But we won't get a chance to power up Foundry for the turn if we don't send it back now. Nah, we should just swing. I don't think they block. I think they take the 10. I was going to say, like, we could power Foundry, bounce the Djinn with the Fading Hope, get the Scry. But right now, Fading Hope is just acting as that tempo if they think, like, oh, I'm going to have this as a blocker, so we should be okay to swing here. And then we just take their blocker out of the equation and full swing next turn. Like, that's the best bet for us. Yeah, it's definitely too bad that that was mana off the top. But we'll see, we'll see. More mana next turn would probably be the nail in the coffin. Pretty much anything else would be great. Okay, dude, we're in so much trouble. We should bounce that as soon as they play something. Unfortunately, we can't bounce it now, but as soon as they play something. This is our chance, too. Art of course. Crap, they still have one open, too. Okay. Well. They're going to be buffing their Djinns. And now that we bounce that, before we want... Oh, our own Djinn. Oh, we should keep it, but we're in trouble, though. So they get a blocker on the ground. They still have one open, and they get to buff these Djinns really well. So if this one mana gets them a blocker, they can swing with the Djinns this turn. If the one mana doesn't get them a blocker, then we have lethal on the board. Or maybe they get greedy here. No, yeah, they're going to keep it back. Makes sense. Right. So we swing, see what happens. If we power up Foundry. They block there, chump a terror. Foundry could be a decoy to keep one of the terrors alive. Probably not great, though. They don't know what's in hand. They don't know it's a Djinn. They could easily take one of these, too. We could also easily die next turn. So let's swing with 5. A chump and a trade. No, 2 trades. So maybe our Foundry could have gotten through. Prankster. Prowess. They probably would have traded Monk into the Foundry then, right? Since it was another Prankster. All right. We have the flyer in the air now. Let's see what they're able to pull off here. Oh, recommission doesn't bring them back tapped, though, guys. So they'll still have a blocker in the air, and they can play Monastery Mentor first. They get extra blockers on the ground, too. So at that point, it depends how much they put into the blockers in the air, because maybe we can find more tempo off the top. Right, another Fading Hope. There is only one. There's only one Fading Hope remaining, guys. Oh, dear. I guess you never know. You never know. Okay. Recommission the Haughty Djinn. Yep, we knew all that was coming. Oh, get lost. They don't even need the blocker, huh? Very nice opponent. Very nice. All right, let's see what we see on the top. They can swing for 3. We're going to let that go and not block with the Foundry. Moment of Truth is not terrible at all, dude. Make disappear. All right. That's going to be it. How we put that in the hand. Island. We could power up Foundry. Put, like, the map tokens on it. And I guess we could have done that before the Moment of Truth. And we wanted to do Moment of Truth on our turn, right? To see if we saw any creatures to play or something. I'm pretty sure, especially with this lineup here. Good game, opponent. Make Disappear does nothing against a 1-mana Chartic Horse, huh? They still don't know it's in hand, so it makes a lot of sense if they want to just completely play this out. I don't even know where we could have began to properly go against this. I guess first thing was play around that first Make Disappear. Just assume, right? Just assume that they had a counter spell. Could have been pretty good. All right, that should be 17 damage still getting through. That's our 1 block. Good game, opponent. Very good. I love seeing Mini Reanimator. I also would have loved getting the last game victory as well. But overall, I feel like in some of those we got a little unlucky, but it also very well could have been my fault too, right? Like well out of my comfort zone playing this style of mono blue. But overall, I don't know. You guys will have to let me know in the comments for sure. Let's go over the deck one more time, huh? I can't believe I made that mistake in the was it the first game? I think it was the first game where I had to also get rid of 2 cards for the Thirst for Discovery because I accidentally clicked through discarding just the island. So we ended up getting rid of Intrude the Mind, and I really wanted to see this do a thing today, but I think it's really good, man. I do. I just like finding the right deck for it, and I think this style of mono blue tempo instead of like the flow for knowledge or whatever. Oh, guys, I forgot to go over the rest of the honorable mentions. Oh, oops. Well, here we are. Some other cards that almost made the cut is Deduce. I thought about for quite a bit, but I could think of like a really good reason to like have the clues on the board as well for this deck in particular, but it is a card I thought about. And then Confounding Riddle is also one that I kind of feel is underplayed sometimes. And in a deck like this, where it's not going to be 3 mana all the time, it's going to be a 2 or even 1, since we have the case of the Ransacked Lab, and then also all 4 Haughty Djinn. So that's 7 cards packed in that make things cheaper, which would make Confounding Riddle at that point just like a much better like Make Disappear, for example. But then also it has that top ability look at the top 4 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. So it could be pretty explosive if you have like a couple Haughty Djinns on the board already too. Yeah, it could buff them significantly. And that's the exact same concept as Intrude the Mind too. The fact that one of the piles go into the graveyard is just wild. And then you get that extra Thopter flyer in the air too. I actually thought Reasonable Doubt was really cool today too. Yeah, just like a lot of those games, felt a little unlucky, but it very well could have just been like how I was deciding to play it out when I passed the turn, when I decided to use my mana instead of like keeping something open, for example. You know, this is like one of those too. It's a good learning experience, and it's good to play like the opponent's decks sometimes, right? So you better gauge like what they're likely to do as well. And so this is one that I'll definitely go back and watch and see and just kind of say like, hey, Mr. Red Cat, why'd you do that? Or in this case, Mr. Blue Cat, why'd you do that there instead of keeping that mana open? Or we can kind of see where some of the potential mistakes were at the end of the matches, right? I went over a lot of that, like keeping that make disappear in that one game instead of sending it to the grave, for example, and things like that. The 4 Fading Hopes is like so necessary, dude. You're going to use them all the time on everything, so that's great. Same with the Considers is still just going to be really good for this style of build. The 4 Haughty Djinns and the 4 Terror is going to be awesome. I would have liked to see more of the Flotsam and the Jetsam, especially since the Jetsam being 6 mana. Of course, we bring that down with the Case and the Haughty Djinn. And then check this out, guys. Each opponent mills 3 cards. Then you may cast a spell from each opponent's graveyard without paying its mana cost. If a spell cast this way would be put into the graveyard, you exile it instead. That's actually pretty sick. So early game, you're investigating, plugging stuff into your grave to buff the Djinn or get Terror even cheaper. And then late game, if you top deck this and you happen to maybe not have all the mana for all 6, maybe it's a little cheaper. Maybe you play it out for like 4 mana instead. Just get a free thing from the opponent. Could be pretty wild, actually. Actually like that one of 2. Out of Air, I would have loved to see this do a little bit more today, but something noteworthy is a lot of these counterspells can just be your counterspell of choice. Easily, bro, easily. So whatever you're seeing the most in the meta. But I do like Out of Air, and I think I would end up dropping the Essence Scatter or a second Negate. That's tough. That's tough. Maybe Essence Scatter for a 4th Make Disappear. There's going to be so many moments where the opponent has the 2 to pay. So how often do we end up using Casualty, right? Because I didn't even consider Casualty today. It was actually pretty tough to decide like what array of counterspells to play with. Also, Case being a 3 of didn't do as much as I would have hoped today, but I still like it as 3. But I could see dropping it to 2. And overall, I don't think I'm going to personally change too much with the list. I think much more testing is required. But based on the number of losses too, there could be something that needs changed just for the sake of the curve. Actually, how do we feel about just extra of these generic counter spells for the early game? Right? If we drop the Case down to 2, and we drop that Essence Scatter that really struggled today, and we just go up like Make Disappear and Reasonable Doubt. How do we feel about that? I don't know if I like that. What do you guys think? I'm looking at it like, because I still like the Out of Air. That's the thing. So we have 1 extra counterspell from the original list. Essence Scattered wasn't doing too much for me, but you know what I did really like? Moment of Truth. What if we drop 1 Out of Air, go up that Moment of Truth? Now the curve is looking a little bit healthier too, since we have more 2-drops. Well, if this is what you want to count as a healthy curve, you got to remember like a lot of the curve is filled out with like Terror and stuff too, getting much cheaper throughout the game as well. So that's definitely, excuse me guys, definitely something to consider. And yeah, since we weren't rocking that Flow of Knowledge, playing with the Mishra's Foundry felt pretty healthy. I liked these 2. I did. I could actually see going up like a Soaring City as well. The 21 land totally felt fine, especially since we can find more mana on the Moment of Truth. All right, we did end up changing up the deck a little bit here at the end. So hopefully the list still performs well. Actually, I do think this would perform a little better. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't want to change it to perform worse, but you guys know what I mean. Guys, if you made it this far into the video, for real, y'all are champions. Seriously, thank you for being here. Make sure you check out that description where we got that Discord link, as well as that Patreon link if you're interested in supporting the channel that way. Let me know in the comments again, what did you think of Blue Cat? I hope you still enjoyed the list, even though it's well out of my comfort zone and well out of the comfort zone of what we put on the channel too. Still a really fun time, huh? All right, guys. Hey, I will see you in the next video.